Hey guys, Steven here, Fanatic Perspective. It's what you guys have all been waiting for. Got the whole crew here. And before we jump into everything, I do want to pass it right away to Nino's corner, just to talk about the news that happened this week in all seriousness before we jump into the preview. So Nino, please.
Yeah, folks. Hey, man. Prior to us getting into this showdown, man, I just gotta, just say just a few words about Tiffany Treetop Jackson, man. So anybody who's a Longhorn fan knows that she passed away yesterday, and honestly, she was just 37 years young, folks. Actually went to school with Tiff. She was a three-time, basketball All-American here at Texas. She was the fifth pick of the draft I think in the 2007 draft to the Liberty folks. So hey, man, if you got any time in your day, man, just say a small prayer for her kids, man. Tiffany was a great person. She used to party with us all the time at Texas. She was awesome. She was amazing, man. But yeah, the Longhorns lost a great one. And I'm going to miss her, man.
Rest in peace, Tiffany Tree Jackson. She will definitely be missed. It's been, like Nino said, and somebody that you personally knew. So I'm glad we got to do this off top, and thank you for that. Before we get into everything, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor and the sponsor of the channel. And as you guys are coming in here on the live, and thank you guys for the kind words on Tiffany and the prayers and everything, and keep that going. As you guys check in, you know what to do. Hit that like button, subscribe, the whole bit. So first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, BUSR, busr.com/fanatic, the official sportsbook, the official sponsor, the official betting partner of Fanatic Perspective. That promo code there, Sports100FP, it's up to $1,000 on all initial deposits within your first 24 hours. So up to $1,000. We're also giving out 25 free casino chips. And right now, guys, spread's moving. I know the spread on this game, and we're going to get into a lot of the uncertainty with some key players on both sides. But I know this thing opened around, I think initially at 2.5, then immediately 3.5 Texas, and now it's Texas -7 as of right now. I know some people told me they got in at 6.5, but as you guys can see with a very, very chaotic line, it's going to be interesting to see. But if you're looking for a reliable betting partner, great customer service, hit up busr.com/fanatic. The other announcement I want to make before we hear from our Red River brothers over here up north, we have a second sponsor now, a brand new sponsor to the channel. And Nino and I happen to be wearing their merch already. We're already, customers of theirs and people that we love. And so without further ado, our second sponsor is now Last Stand Hats. So check out laststandhats.com/fanatic perspective. The link is active. And for 10% off on all purchases that you make, use that promo code Fanatic10. Fanatic10, 10% off. We love Last Stand Hats over here. I've had this hat for a minute. We got some new merch on the way. Polos coming, T-shirts, all sorts of cool stuff. It's not just University of Texas Longhorns, although they make great Texas gear, but so many different college teams coming on board. So shout out to Last Stand Hats. As of today, brand new second sponsor on the channel. So shout out to BSR, shout out to Last Stand Hats. Hit the sub, hit the like. All right, I see we have good attendance in here, almost at 200 now. Seth, I've been instructed to kick it off to you. And I love you. And I posted the video of you getting your prediction, totally nailing the TCU loss. Much respect, brother. You clearly know your football team. Like you said, brother, you dialed in. So let's get a dialed-in analysis from Mr. Seth Oliveris on how is Oklahoma coming into this game, and what's the season been like thus far, your first 5 weeks?
Well, the first 3 weeks, I'll start there, was it was fun. Especially that Nebraska game. That was obviously the highlight. It's been the highlight of the season so far, going on the road. Longtime rival. That rivalry's been, away for a bit, but that was a great game. Looked like a great atmosphere up there in Lincoln. And yeah, the OU did and looked exactly like I thought. That's the team that I was looking at and imagining all offseason. That's what this team is capable of. And then we get to Kansas State, and just I don't know what it is. Those last time we all met up, I talked about Sooner Magic. I think K-State's got some kind of voodoo or something over to OU, and it's clear. It clearly wasn't just a Lincoln Riley thing. Chris Kleiman, I don't know what he's got up there in Manhattan, but he gives all his players a swig of it right before the game, and they did what they did. But then, and it was bad. It was a bad showing. It shouldn't have happened. But, football is like that. Like games will go like that, and you lose by 7. You can't, throw the baby out with the bathwater in that one. But then we get to last week. Yeah, I said this before. It's been on my mind, but it made me think of. I'll say it again for people, now tuning in. It made me think of the Ed Reed quote, that famous quote back when he was with the Miami Hurricanes. He said, "I'm hurt, dog. Don't ask me if I'm all right. Hell no." That's how I feel. And that's how I felt. And the sting is gone, but the soreness is still there. It was just it was a cascade of bad things. And I'm not going to make excuses about all the guys that were injured. But that was one of those games that I really didn't ever think I would see really in this era of OU football, but really under Brent Venables. And not saying I'm losing faith in Brent Venables. I think that game was just what could happen when everything goes wrong. And, in a year one under Brent Venables, when, he's still installing his system, but he's also still dealing with a majority of guys who frankly just aren't good enough for his system. I'll put it that way. Mm-hmm. And I love all those guys out there. They're doing things I only dream of, wishing I could have done back in my days in college. But yeah, they just weren't up to it. I don't know what it was. They didn't have a good breakfast, but that was just a really pitiful performance. And
we got to blame the team chef.
I don't know what it was. Maybe the team chef is good, and maybe he was out. So maybe they had like a backup there, and that's what happened. Maybe the starter is actually good, but no, it was bad all the way around. I can't excuse it. It was pitiful, but I'm proud to say that I watched all of it because that's how I am. I'm not going to run away from my team's bad performance. Yeah, and I was laughing at a lot of the comments here going on in the feed, the chat right now. Everybody's wishing me well and glad that I'm still alive because I've been quiet on Twitter. And I'm glad that you all have noticed that I've been quiet on Twitter. And yes, I have been quiet on Twitter. But that's because I'm like I said before, and I'll say it again, I'm realistic, and I'm a realistic fan. And, I'm never going to be, I'm not going to be thumping my chest whenever, I see play that isn't worthy of such. And that's what I saw. So, I'm not going to brag on a team or, go to war for a team on Twitter whenever I see that there are glaring issues and, performance like that, whatever they lost by 31, whatever it was. So that's why I haven't been talking as much trash this week. But, that can all change. That can all change.
All right. Well, you know what? I respect where you're coming from a standpoint of auditing your football team and trying to be, it sucks to lose. Nobody likes to lose. I've been on here. Y'all watch my videos. I'm on here and I've quoted the exact same Ed Reed quote last year when we were going through our stuff, also in year one. But damn it, Seth, we just went through a coaching change ourselves. And we tried to warn you about some of these things, these growing pains, these things that happen, and we were dismissed. Nino and I were dismissed. But you know what, Nino? Let's let Chris say his piece. Let's let Chris say his piece. We'd like to give everybody opening statements first. So, Chris, opening statements.
I'm just happy that they're resident experts on everything OU. Seth, you know how that goes. Man, look, first off, I'll just say this right here. It is what it is, man. Hey, I'm still bullish on this team. I still think that this team has a way. They have a way to go, a lot of improvement to make on each side of the ball. We've been here before. We lost 2 games back to back. Iowa State, K-State, still ended up winning the Big 12 championship. Now, before everybody tries to jump down my neck and say, "Oh, well, Lincoln was the coach, this and that, everything."
Yeah,
hey, look, it's been done before by OU. So I mean, I'm still bullish on this team. I still think that there's as much bad as we've seen. There's still a lot of good things that we've seen out there. Obviously, there's questions as far as some players, some of the play calling and different things has happened. But I mean, at the end of the day, like I'm not gonna cower away from anything that I've said before about this team or about this new regime that we're under. I'm excited about it, and I think we're headed in the right direction. It's just going to take a little bit longer than what we thought. So I mean, I think that's where we're at. The TCU, the K-State loss. Okay, that was a bad performance. There's some missed plays, a few plays away from really being able to probably take that game over. TCU, that was a humbling point for I think a lot of our fans. And obviously there's overreactions and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, like I said, I'm still bullish on my team. 3-2. Both teams are 3-2 going into this Red River shootout. So I mean, it's not like we can really just kind of poke fun at each other right now, because I mean, it is what it is. But at the same time, I think that there's still a lot of improvement to be made by this team, and hell, it's still a long season. So let's see exactly what they do to respond for the rest of the season before we kind of write this team off. Excuse me.
All right. I have one question, and this is Homer got to it. So you're talking about 2020 when you guys started 0-2 and going into that big when we say 0-2 in the conference, and we played the quadruple overtime game, and you guys, you won out. Okay. I just want to get you on record. So you believe that if you're able, from what you've seen in your first 2 Big 12 games, that you can do what you did, you can replicate what you did in 2020? Is that what I'm hearing?
Hell no.
I still feel like, hey, it's still out there for us. I mean, I still think that this team's best football is ahead of them. So I'm not going to sit here and
next year
out in a Big 12 that cannibalizes itself. I mean, you guys can sit there and say all that you want. I'm just saying, you know that it can happen. And I mean, this team has a lot of talent on it still. And like I said, I believe in the coaching. I believe in the coaching staff that we have. I'm gonna trust the process instead of hitting the panic button. I'm gonna trust the process. It's year 1, game 5, going into game 6. I'm just gonna trust the process.
Yeah, and I'll add to that, Chris. And I definitely approve that message, but I'll even add that, we, no matter what year, what season, and whether it's right before the game or the middle of the offseason, we talk about this OU Texas game, and we always say, and both sides vehemently agree, it doesn't matter what the teams look like and what they've done going into that Saturday. It just doesn't. You just throw it out. So not to say that, OU, well, I mean, obviously OU could win, like the possibility is there, and then they could still end up having a really bad season. That's also still on the table. But to Chris's point, looking back at that 2020 season, OU didn't get necessarily blown out in those the K-State and Iowa State game. Although you can almost argue that the K-State game was kind of a blowout because they were up by like 21 or 28, whatever it was, and then lost that lead in the second half completely. So in a way, K-State blew them out. No. But listen. But then OU clearly limped into that game, the Red River game in 2020. But something, when they found that something in, 4 overtimes, it sparked them. And then the rest of the way, they were clearly the best team in the Big 12, finished it, with a Big 12 championship, avenged that loss to Iowa State, and then beat a pretty good Florida Gators team in the Cotton Bowl and a New Year's Six Bowl. So that's all very possible. That's what we're talking about. It's those are things that can happen. And yeah, I would say that Chris probably has a little bit more confidence in that happening than I do at this moment. But I don't, I totally can see that, playing out.
Nino, I'll let you respond.
Try to told y'all this was gonna happen, y'all. Look, you guys lost probably the best play caller in college football. I told you guys last year that a transcendent quarterback erases a lot of stuff. He is the X factor. He is the eraser. You guys had Caleb Williams. He was the X factor in a few games. He was the X factor against Kansas for you guys, right? Call it what it is. He was the X factor. Transcendent quarterbacks change the game. You guys went from, and Chris even said this last year, it's not like we're going from Caleb to Dylan Gabriel. Well, you guys did go from Caleb to Dylan Gabriel. And before he got hurt, you guys were down 34-10. So injury or not, you guys were still down 24 points. That's 3 possessions, folks. So look, we tried to tell you guys, we've been through this, coach after coach after coach. That first year coach, if a coach is not already on staff and the system is not ready made for him, it is going to be difficult. And this comment that you guys made about BV, that the players aren't up to his standard. Well, these same players went 9-2 in this conference. Well, I'm sorry, 11-2 last year. These same players, right? These same players that were on that roster, Billy Bowman, who we talked about, looks like he's like a middle linebacker now, and not looking like a defensive back. These the same players.
That's cap. But keep going.
No.
That's cap.
Look,
you going off?
Look, I'm just joking. I like Bowman. Bowman is dope. I like Bowman. I'm just throwing some shade. But look, man, you guys got the same players on this team. Now, BV is the defensive wizard right now, right? And he comes here and his defense gets stomped on the minute that they get into Big 12 play. At home, first off, at home. And then after home, you guys get your ass towed up by TCU. A straight blowout with Lebby having his guy that he pretty much handpicked from UCF to come and run his system, still down 34-10 prior to the injury. We tried to tell you guys. Hold on, let me see that comment. Why Nino sound like that calm father talking? We tried to tell you guys, man. We tried to tell you guys. Like, I saw BV's press conference, and I'm gonna tell you who he looked like to me. He looked like Charlie Strong after his press conferences. I'm just being honest. I'm being honest. We all know Charlie Strong was one hell of a defense. No. I didn't interrupt you. I didn't interrupt you. Let me talk.
Don't do that now.
No. Charlie's done more as a head coach than BV has.
I'm just saying, don't do that, Nick. Come on, man.
Charlie got a quarterback in the first round. Charlie got a hey, Charlie done more as a head coach. Charlie did more as a head coach than BV has.
Yeah, he lost the Kansas.
Let's just keep it honest. He looked like and Charlie was a successful head. Hold on, Chris. I let you talk. Let me goddamn talk. Right? Charlie was a successful head coach at a school prior to coming to Texas, right? Charlie gets to Texas. He's a defensive mind. He tries to bring in somebody who's supposed to be some offensive guy who he wasn't. Ends up bringing in Sterling Gilbert, who had the veer and shoot that you guys are actually running a variation of. And after every game, Charlie's defense was supposed to be this great defense. And guess what? It wasn't, folks. This is a different league than the ACC. It is what it is. BV is getting taught a lesson right now on how to be a head coach. You guys made fun of us for having Steve Sarkisian be a head coach last year when he was actually a head coach before at 2 previous stops. BV's never been a head coach, and you guys thought you guys were going to just run and not have a hiccup. You guys said 11-1. That's what I was told. I was told 11-1. I was told 11-1.
Hey, I think I did say that the floor was 10-2 though.
All right, okay. We're gonna see if y'all gonna rattle off 8 more wins, huh?
We still got the same energy, Nick, and ain't went nowhere.
No, all I'm saying is, all that yapping y'all did to us last year, talking about we don't have a coach, he's not proven. We've been saying the same thing. Y'all got a guy who's a head coach that is not a proven coach. He's not a proven head coach, folks. And to be honest, he looked pretty scared up on that stadium. I mean, I'm sorry, on that podium yesterday when he had that press conference. He looked like, oh my God, what the hell I just get into? I don't got Dabo to like to go to bat for me. I can't just do my 15 minutes of talk and go to the back. Now, this is my show now. So, hey, we tried to tell you. Steven, up to you, man.
Yeah, I want to address this comment here from Kurt because this whole guys going to the league on defense, quarterback, guys hitting the portal after Lincoln Riley left. All of these points were brought up multiple times throughout the spring, the summer on both of our platforms. Everybody that talks about this, that tried to warn people that support Oklahoma and follow the Oklahoma program. So when you tell people that you're going to go 10-2 and 11-1, and you tell people we've upgraded, because many of you guys in this fan base use that word, upgraded. When I say, hey, you lost a Perrion Winfrey, you lost an Isaiah Thomas, you lost a Nick Benito, guys that were, Nick Benito's a second-round pick. Like, these are guys that weren't scrubs according to the league, according to everybody else. And it's like, oh, Ethan Downs, upgrade. Jalen Redmond, upgrade, right? And it's like, where is the actual analysis from a football perspective about this? Where's the actual, we look at data, we look at all these things that say, hey, when programs go through what you guys went through and that much turnover occurs, not just with the coaching staff, but with the roster, this is what you can expect. It was ignored. It was dismissed. Many of you in the fan base pushed back hard, like cult-like. Even when the Cale Gundy stuff went down, he said, hey, these are problems that happen in the first year. I'm not saying, I said Brent Venables was a B+ hire. I was on record at saying that. I still believe that. I think long-term, he's going to figure it out, and he needs to, and he'll be fine. But in the context of year one, for y'all to show up, you've looked like shit the last 2 weeks. That's just facts. That's just facts.
Hey, Steven, don't forget the Kent State game when they were only up 7-3 at halftime.
So, I mean, look, we're going to talk about the game because I agree, Seth. The game, the Red River rivalry, shootout, showdown, whatever you call it, Texas OU. Throw the records out, throw the analytics out. Yes, this game, whether Dillon Gabriel's available or not, we'll have the Dillon Gabriel conversation here in a second. But game aside, us Texas aside, you guys really have to assess this and be realistic the rest of the year. And telling us you're 10-2 is not realistic.
Hey, Steven. Hold on, guys. One more thing. Because that comment was to me. I want to address that comment right quick. Okay, so that comment was to me. But like I've been telling you guys all last year, and everybody said it was stupid about you guys having a transcendent quarterback and how that changes things. Guess what? That best play caller in college football took his damn transcendent quarterback to USC, who went 4-8 last year, and that team is 5-0 right now. That's how much a transcendent quarterback and a hell of a play caller means to a team. You take Lincoln. Lincoln's one of the best play callers in college football, if not the best. And we talked about this earlier. He's taken a different type of quarterback every step of the way and won with him. He's taken a Baker Mayfield and won with him. He's taken a guy like Kyler, who's a lot different than Baker, and won with him. He took a Jalen Hurts, who's a lot different than both those guys because his arm talent is not nearly as good as those two guys, and won with him. He took a Spencer Rattler and won the Big 12 title. Spencer Rattler looks like crap at South Carolina right now. Let's call it what it is.
No,
he looks like crap.
That's all it is. Are you done?
He looked like crap. We call it what it is. What was his excuse last year? He looked like crap last year too. And he took Caleb as a true I'm not done. And he took Caleb as a true freshman last year and won 9 games or 10 games with you guys last year. Transcendent quarterback means a lot. I've been telling you guys and your fan base this for the longest, and nobody ever wants to give any props to that. It's all about the OU culture, the culture that's built into OU. That same culture should be still there with those players because that's a winning team when Lincoln Riley left, right? He didn't take all 85 kids with him, did he? That culture it should still be in place, right? That's that Sooner magic, right?
So
that's that culture, right?
First off, your points about Charlie Strong and all the rest of that's straight bullshit. Coming to this point now that you're doing about the transgender quarterback, guess what? They're in the Pac-12, so that's again bullshit. Going to your point about all that stuff. Look, why did we ignore it? Why do we do that? Because we haven't been like Texas in the last 10 to 15 years of complete mediocrity. Every time that we've hired a new coach, we've experienced success. Come on, man, be real with it. Like OU, we've lived in success. This is a humbling moment for us simply because we're going through a tough 2-game stretch. It's 2 games. It's okay. There's still way more games down the line for this team to play. For you, everybody, including you two, to sit there and just write them off and just say, "Oh, I'm right. I told you so. I told you so."
I didn't write them off.
Before you say all of that,
I didn't write them off.
Like this comment says, it's like you got a lot of pent up energy.
No, hey,
listen, Lucas's comment up here. He's an OU fan.
You guys tweet more about Texas than we do. Look, Steph's whole timeline been silent for 2 weeks because his team been losing. Your whole timeline been silent.
Let Seth go. Seth I
got one more thing.
Call it what it is.
I got one more point.
Go ahead.
At the end of the day, you could talk, Steven and y'all could talk about OU being 3-2 and lost these 2 games in the way they have. Y'all are 3-2 as well, and y'all are on the same path that y'all were on last year. So we're sitting here talking about 2 3-2 teams, 2 3-2. It don't matter how you lost. You lost. So the fact of the matter is, y'all can't sit there and try to sit there and be all high and mighty about something. It doesn't matter. Both teams are 3-2. At the end of the day, we got a game to play. Let's go see who's the better team. It's the Red River Shootout, it's the Red River rivalry. We're here again. We lost these games. We lost the first game on some lost the second game. It was a total blowout. It is what it is. Move on. Let them finish the season before.
I want to get to Seth.
That first loss bull crap.
I want to get to Seth's comment.
Yeah. Well, I'm going way back because none of y'all let me get a word in. So, Nick,
my bad, Seth. My bad. My bad. You know you're my boy.
Nick, you said earlier you brought up you wanted to bring up Kent State, but I guess you missed when Kent State played Georgia. All right, and then Steven, you talked about how, and I think you were kind of umbrella terming OU fans when you said that all offseason that there was upgrades, all this and that, and but you mentioned that you've been talking about the losses on defense, Perrion Winfrey, Nick Benito, et cetera, those guys. Well, I've never been in that group. You can try to find the receipt on me, but you never will. That I've never said that OU's talent upgraded defensively. The talent upgrade or the upgrade is on the coaching staff defensively, and there is no debate about that. It's the results, especially last week. If you just want to even just pick a small sample, it's not being shown, but. Again, if you're using the logic of it's a first year and it's installing a system, and in this day and age, it's harder to install a new defense than it is a new offense. It just is because the game is geared towards offense. Then you got to admit that you can't necessarily make these kind of broad brush judgments on the defense if that's one of your points. So I just want it to be known that I personally don't think OU has more talent on defense than they did a year ago. I think that's just an indictment to the team last year that they didn't do more. And really, quite frankly, in a worse Big 12, that's why they did win 11 games in 2021. But it was like the ugliest 11-2 season of all time. I mean, you ask any OU fan watching that, like every single game should have been a loss or could have been a loss. So I just wanted to set the record straight there because I definitely haven't been one of those. Like I said, I'm realistic.
Hold on.
Okay, Seth,
I'm sorry.
Seth, I want to address one quick thing.
Yeah.
Valid point, whether or not you were in the room or not. I know I've heard upgrade things on this channel, feedback, definitely in Twitter Spaces, just normal correspondence with OU fans. That may or may not have been you saying that in terms of upgrade with personnel. That's fine. However, you were on here on this channel, and we can pull receipts if we want to, but you were on this channel when I asked about having the installation with the defense and the offense, and Brett Venables as a first-year head coach managing all of this. And both you and Chris told me that was not a concern for you at all in terms of how quickly it would gel, because I asked that question in regards to why you're picking 10, 11 win seasons. I'm like, so there's no adjustment period? Like, to me, that's unfair pressure on Brett Venables. That's unfair pressure on Ted Roof, on Jeff Lebby, with all of what they were tasked with doing coming off of Lincoln Riley leaving. I do remember saying that, and I can pull that clip. So you're right about the personnel in terms of maybe us interacting, but I can't let the coaching, aspect of installation and also y'all running tempo and what BB wants to do on defense. I can't let that slide, brother. I can't.
Yeah, but I don't know why I would say that when I was also on record on 2 other different podcasts around the same time I did yours, where I clearly said that my number one concern was the growing pains in the insulation on defense. So I just don't know. I think I don't know where really that's coming from, and I'm just trying not to have words thrown in my mouth, because I've got a lot of receipts out there that, quite frankly, are pretty dusty. I don't know why people don't dust them off that are out there, because I'm not out there trying to delete anything. But I mean, these ones, I just don't want anyone making up receipts for me when I didn't align myself with that.
Loves to do that because there's a lot of we'll say, oh, Texas face this and that, and then Steven and Nick will say, oh, that wasn't us. That wasn't us. That wasn't us.
No. I'm just saying, don't let one person talk for all of Texas, and you know what I'm talking about. Because hey, all of Texas don't claim that one person. As a matter of fact, the majority of Texas don't claim that one person. That's all I said.
No, look. At the end of the day, what you guys are saying, okay, has merit. Okay, we have not looked good these past 2 weeks. But at the same time, like I said, man, look, you can want us to be realistic or whatever the case may be. I'm gonna ride for my squad, man. I still am bullish about this team. I think there's a lot of talent on the field. Just got to put things together. You got to put things together, and you got to do it really quick. This is not a brand of football that OU fans are used to seeing. Once again, 2020, we'll go back to that year. No, these are not the same teams. All the rest of that stuff, yada yada yada. But the biggest thing is that, hey, it's hard to be in a position like this because you're not there all that often. But it's okay. It's year 1, but man, it's okay. We're through week 5. Let's get through this Texas game and let's see what the rest of the season has. How the rest of the season plays out, and then we'll have some more to say.
I gotta make one comment, Steven. Go ahead. Seth, you my boy, but you can't say last year that all of them were ugly wins. They were still wins. Whether it's an ugly win or
I mean, win. You can't say the Alabama loss was a pretty loss. Then by that logic, right?
Who said? Right? I didn't say that, Steven.
I'm saying
Steven, have you said that the Alabama loss is a pretty loss? I don't take moral victories.
I watched your post game. I watch your post game videos about that.
I didn't say y'all about no pretty victory.
Pretty good about that. Y'all feel pretty good about that game.
I didn't say it was no pretty victory. I said it still was a loss. I said,
no one's disputing that. That's the fact.
But the boys showed up. Now, after the fact, when your team wins, you can't go there and say, oh, yeah, no, we were good last year. We won 10 games last year. We won 11 games last year. We're going to be fine. And then after you come in this season and you lose just as many games in the first 5 games that you lost all of last season, now those wins are ugly. You can't have it both ways.
No, I mean, we're on record on our own podcast for saying that. We said that plenty of times. We don't know how the hell we managed to win some of those games last year, to be quite frank with you. Even the Texas.
Tulane, West Virginia, Kansas.
Yeah.
I mean, the only pretty wins I can remember is TCU.
I do want to say this super chat here. Thank you, Nate Randolph. Appreciate it. He's waiting for y'all's excuses. I'm not going to go into that level of I do want to get into the actual game that we're going to play each other and matchups and whatnot, and really how we'll look. Seth, when you look at this Texas team coming in, regardless, yes, you guys are correct. We are both 3-2. Right now, you guys are 0-2 in the Big 12. We are 1-1. What are some key things you're paying attention to in this matchup, or what are some of the things you're focused on in terms of keys to success for OU and keys to success for Texas or in this matchup?
For me, it starts with OU's D line versus Texas O line. If OU's not getting the pressure that they need to on whoever it is at quarterback, if it's Ewers especially, it's going to be a long day for OU. I have more confidence in OU's front than I do the back end of the defense. So I feel like the front needs to help out the back end of the defense by creating that pressure, by taking the quarterback off his spots. I need to see, for an OU win, I need to see that, but not just taking them off his spots, but actually getting home at least half the time, because these quarterbacks, especially the QB room at Texas, is more than capable of making a play outside the pocket. We've been seeing that over the last few weeks, especially. So that's, to me, is the biggest key, and to me will tell me when I look back at this game, the result will be revealed in that matchup.
What has to improve on the defensive line? Is it scheme? Is it personnel? Is it a Jimbo Fisher execution problem? Scheme's fine. Like
2014 spoiled milk.
Well, ultimately, it's going to be personnel as far like looking long term. I like the guys that they've got up there. I think it's a solid group, especially the ends. Reggie Grimes, Ethan Downs. I like those guys. In Jalen Redmond up the middle. When he's on, he's obviously somebody to keep an eye on. But in totality, that level of talent has to be upgraded. That's why it hurt so much when OU lost out on David Hicks last week, among other reasons. Like you have to have guys like that, and you can't just have one guy like that. You got to have the whole line has to be that kind of dude if OU wants to play at the level that they want to play at. Especially looking ahead to the SEC. So I don't think at least right now, it's not necessarily a talent issue, especially against the competition they're going against. I don't know if it's just, to me, especially Saturday, it was effort. Honestly, it was a want to. I don't know. I just didn't see that same fire that I'd been seeing in some of those other games, looking back at like the Nebraska game. And I'm not saying Nebraska is Texas this year, because obviously the two teams are totally different, in totally different places in their, programs. But it almost, if that OU team that showed up in Lincoln on that Saturday, if they showed up every week this season, all the games would be, wouldn't look necessarily like that, but they'd probably all be OU wins. Like I'm pretty confident that's how dialed in, and how, I don't know, it was just, they wanted it so bad. It was like the environment, and maybe that might be recreated because this is going to be the greatest, most exciting electric environment of the regular season for this team to play in, this OU team, and Texas as well, if you want to include that. I mean, the Alabama-Texas game was pretty electric as well, but I don't know if this team just needs that energy from the crowd to get themselves up, when you obviously want it the other way around. I would love it for the team to be able to get themselves up and bring the crowd in it, but maybe they just need that boost.
So,
and
so
if they
Seth,
can't get it, then it's gonna be a long day.
Seth, before I get to Chris and Nino to chime in, first off, I saw Mark's question. I will be at the game. Nino will be at the game. Nino's flying in, so come say what's up to us if you see us in person. Chris, are you gonna be at the game?
Yeah, I'll be at the game.
Okay, I can hear you right now. Yeah. So three of us will be there, and then Seth, you're hanging back in Oklahoma,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah.
So three of us will actually be there in person if you see us. Going to your point though about the effort comment, I want to start there. Is it not a concern that effort is something that is a problem coming off of a loss to Kansas State? I mean,
No, it is a concern.
Like,
it's a huge concern.
Yeah. And when I say effort, I mean, it's also sometimes it can be confusion where guys aren't really sure what they're doing and they're not playing as hard as they possibly can, that type of thing. Who knows? I think one of the other things I'm paying attention to personally in regards to what you said is the level of competition was in question for OU the first 3 games. And Nebraska, even though, yes, it was a game in Lincoln, everyone had it circled, rivalry game in itself, very emotional environment. Casey Thompson again. You guys look phenomenal in that game. I left that game thinking, I'm like, man, this pass rush looks incredible. Your edges were flying. I texted you guys that in our group chat. I thought you guys looked phenomenal, just overwhelming Nebraska. But then it's like, well, Nebraska just fired their coach.
And they got overrun by Georgia Southern.
Terrible. And so it's like, I think the questions about level of competition, then going to Kansas State and then TCU, are very fair in terms of how real was that Nebraska product versus what we've seen the last 2 weeks.
But how would you expect Ohio State or Georgia to look if they went and played Nebraska? You would expect them to just completely overwhelm them and smother them and dominate them. I mean, OU performed and looked like an elite team looks against a mediocre or below average team in Nebraska and in the other competition. They were looking the part, they were performing the part, they were doing everything they need to do, and that was they were showing that through 3 weeks. Yeah, they weren't playing ranked teams and teams that are, considered good now, but I mean, if they were playing actually good teams, I also wouldn't expect them to dominate like that, because I already know they're not at that top 4, in the nation level.
Sure.
But I figured they were closer than what they showed. And the reason why I almost take the K-State game more seriously than I do the TCU game, even though the TCU game concerns me because of that was a response opportunity. But if OU played with the same kind of effort that they had played in the majority of the season that day, that game would have turned out differently. I'm not saying OU would have won it, but it definitely wouldn't have been a blowout. And to me, what I saw was just guys giving up. Yeah, there was a lot of confusion too as well. But a lot of that is, I mean, they're not dialed in, and they weren't dialed in. That wasn't just a Saturday problem. That was a problem on Sunday through
100%.
Sunday through Friday. So
Question.
Go ahead, Nino.
So, Seth, are you saying that's a culture problem here in the first year? Because do you think this team would have gave up last year, just would have quit?
I think there are cancers.
I'm asking. Chris, you can shake your head all you want. Seth just said that the team.
I don't think there's a problem.
Gave up.
I don't think there's a problem.
They gave up.
I don't think there's a problem with what Brent Venables is trying to instill in as far as his culture, his brand of his standard. This standard. I think it's where it should be. It's what it should be. I think there's a buy-in problem. I think and I mean, you saw it last year with Texas. Like,
yep,
there was a lot.
We had people having a lot of trouble buying in. 100%.
Yeah. And Steve Sarkisian even said, I don't know how many new guys like at the end of the last.
No, he
season.
said, we're going to have 35 new people on the roster next year.
Well, yeah. And I think something neat like that might need to happen if, whether or not OU rights the ship and runs the table from this season or not. There's a lot of guys that I've been telling people, and I'm not going to name names because I'm never going to throw a player publicly under the bus.
Yeah.
But there are dudes that I've said to people that I've been watching games with and in conversations with. I'm telling them I can't wait for them to graduate. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Hey, every team has that.
Yeah, but I'm honestly I haven't been at this point since in my OU fandom. I don't think I've been at this point since maybe the 2014 season, or if ever. I don't even know if I was there during that season. But yeah.
So before we get to your offense, on defense, I have 2 questions. One, what is the status today of Billy Bowman?
I think Chris would probably know more than I do.
I haven't really heard too much about him, but I mean, I think I don't necessarily think he's an issue or he's a scratch for this game this weekend. I I haven't really seen with the injury report. They're kind of being a little bit more, I wouldn't
Close
say
to the vest
secretive
about
about it, but they just haven't really
Yeah.
released that much information. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
if I may, on just the defensive side of the game, or you can go ahead, Steven. I'm sorry.
No. We'll see what the Billy Bowman thing. I mean, because I think that's a pretty big update. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he's probably been your most consistent defensive player in terms of grading out game over game, week over week.
Yeah. Kind of. Yeah.
And so, I think that's a big piece. And Billy, I gave Billy a lot of shit and about his body and Schmitty and all that. But
hey, Steven, there's a note there. It said that Billy's out, torn MCL. There's a note there from Lucas
he is
Davis.
out.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a note from Lucas.
Well, the chat can be finicky. So
yeah,
Lucas said, okay, Lucas is a fan. He said he's out. Okay. Okay. Also, DK fan, thank you for the super chat on General Booty. We're going to move to the offense here in a second. So we'll get the question answered, but I got to do it one time. If you want to win, put Booty in. But the second thing I had defensively is with what you guys know or see from the Texas offense. We know right now the whole Quinn Ewers, Hudson Card thing, that's up in the air as well. What do you feel good about defensively? What can you hang your hat on going into this game as an OU fan? Because I want to give you all some positives too, right? Like, what do you feel good about as an OU fan where you're like, I look at this Texas offense and I think we can exploit XYZ?
Who you want to go, Chris?
You can go, Seth. Continue your points.
All right. Well, I was just thinking, like, recency bias is obviously huge, and the most recent outing there was nothing positive defensively in that game. I mean, and that was stuff that we hadn't seen all season. It wasn't like these are issues that we were seeing in games and then it just erupted. I mean, OU was giving up not just big plays, but wide open big plays. Like there were and that this wasn't a thing. So before that, even after the K-State game, I probably would have said, at least OU's not giving up these wide open big plays, but they did. And so to me, that's supremely concerning. But if I still had to pick something that I'm like, feeling good about as far as OU's defense and compared to Texas, the Texas offense, it would be that when OU is playing with effort, which I imagine they will. I couldn't imagine an OU or a Texas team coming into this game.
They better in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
They
better.
Yeah, they're gonna. I gotta believe that they're gonna play with all the fire in their body. Mm-hmm. And the thing, with that coming to fruition, I imagine the thing that I'll feel most, the best about will be there's not just going to be one guy around the ball. They're going to be multiple guys around the ball carrier, whether it's Bijan, whether it's a Whittington or whoever, just somebody like whoever's got the ball, skill player wise. I just have I feel good that there's going to be more than one OU defender around them. But again, we saw plenty of examples of it just less than a week ago where that was not the case.
Steven, if I may, I just want to put a little bit of focus on OU. These are just my points of emphasis for this game going in there. Defensively, on the defensive side of the ball, gap integrity. Linebacker play has to step up in a big way. Gotta be gap sound, gotta be fundamentally sound, and play your assignment. When you go to the DBs gotta keep your head on the swivel, and you gotta stop and not pay attention back there, but stop looking so hard and for so long at what's going on in the backfield mid play. There was a lot of busted coverages that were happening in the TCU game because of that. DBs, I believe in the secondary. I think the secondary is better than what they've shown these past 2 weeks. I think that they can get the job done. I'm just eager to see it. Worthy's a problem for everybody. Worthy has, I'm not going to say he hit a sophomore wall, but I mean, he's dropped touchdowns or whatever. It looks like he corrected that the last game, I want to say. But at the same time, are we going to see him, the Worthy that we saw last year, we're going to see, the worthy kind of more of the same of what this year, kind of up and down a little bit. I think as far as to Seth's point, pass rush, we got to have a pass rush. That's been one of the things that's killed not only OU on the field, but OU fans in general. It's just this whole 3-3-5. Maybe that's just what they're having to run because that's what they feel the most confident with this team right now as is. But at the same time, man, we are not getting a rush like we thought we would. Ethan Downs, in my opinion, has kind of had probably the most disappointing season to date outside of, on this whole team, to be honest with you, simply because you thought coming in he was going to be more of that guy to really step it up and lead this defense on the defensive line outside of Jalen Redmond, right? But it seems like Reggie Grimes has been that guy. So we got to get a pass rush. We can't let Quinn Ewers, hell, even Hudson Card just sit back there and have all day to fucking make a damn sandwich and then throw the ball, right? We can't do that. On the offensive side of the ball, you got to sustain drives. I mean, there's some times where even with
Chris, before I don't want to do offense just yet because we gotta let's stick with OU defense.
Yeah.
And Texas offense, because I have some questions, and I have some questions with our personnel. So the Worthy thing, Worthy's been money in conference play so far. And he got hurt in the Tech game, and he was still money in that game. And last week, I thought he had his best game this year in the West Virginia game.
Hey, what was the score of that West Virginia game, by the way?
38-20.
Okay.
Yeah,
because I tuned out of college football after the OU-TCU game. I deleted the ESPN app, so I was like, bye. I watched all the game, but then after that, I was done.
Like you said, I'm hurt. Don't ask me how I'm doing.
It be like that sometimes. I get it.
I think one thing, that's an interesting talking point, and I saw a few OU fans bring this up. Lucas brought up about Quinn Ewers' injury and concerns about getting hit. Look, whenever Quinn Ewers comes back, people are going to test that. That's part of the decision-making process of how comfortable he's going to be to play football, quite frankly, and to make it through a whole game and not require treatment and pain and all those things go into the decision of Quinn Ewers playing. Now, 2 weeks in a row, you look at Adrian Martinez, you look at Max Duggan, dual threat guys. And Texas, Hudson Card has started to use his legs a little bit more, even despite his ankle injury. But Sark is known to want to have his quarterbacks really rely on throwing the football, executing his style of offense. I was more encouraged last week with the pocket movement stuff and really getting Hudson Card at least the option to, if he didn't see it, take off right away, which I think, depending on which quarterback you see, if we have Quinn Ewers back there with his arm talent and ability, I know it's a small menu or a small sample size, but we have a full menu if Quinn Ewers is back there. I'll put it that way in terms of our offense. If Hudson Card is there with the strides that we've made with Hudson over the last few weeks, I am encouraged that Sark will continue to allow him to be him and not trying to plug Hudson into being his prototypical quarterback that he usually has. So I think that's going to be interesting, though, because in terms of what Chris just talked about, I mean, you see it on film in terms of the gap integrity. You guys, your defensive ends flying upfield. I was watching Teddy Lehman, too, and he was talking about this in terms of leveling off. And this is something that's taught across football. And you see guys that know how to use their speed, but they run by the quarterback and things like that. I think, you guys have to kind of slow down to speed up a little bit. But if we run some zone read, if we don't, I mean, we haven't run it at all this year. We haven't shown any of that stuff. And if, like I said, if Quinn Ewers is back there, I think we'll have full menu. So I think it's going to be really interesting. One last point before I go to Nino. For me, I am surprised with how poorly you guys are tackling, just in general. That surprises me. and I can't put my finger on it. I mean, maybe that is an effort thing. Maybe that is a want to thing. Maybe the game gets away. But we've been suspect in our run blocking. That is something that's why I put this comment on here.
Mm-hmm.
I think Brett Venables and Ted Roof are going to see some things on film, even Todd Bates, where they're going to have some run stunts that may confuse our guys. We're young up front.
Yeah.
I'd see opportunities where you guys can put us in a 2nd and 12. If we run some outside zone or anything like that, I think you guys could take advantage of that. Fully do. But you have to finish. You have to tackle. So that's something else I'm kind of noticing and would pay heavy attention to. Nino, what you got, brother?
Yeah, man. So the same thing. Our offensive line when it comes to run blocking hasn't been the best. So that's why I do think if Quinn gets the nod, not only is he a better arm talent than Hudson is, that's going to be really frightening, I think, for OU, just for the simple fact that we're not going to have to depend on the run as much. And our pass blocking has been really good this year, which has been the total opposite of what I would have thought would have happened. We got 2 freshmen starting on that line, and you would think the run blocking would be better than the pass blocking, but it's been the direct opposite, right? So, I think Kelvin Banks Jr. is grading out as one of the top, I think, 2 or 3 linemen here just for pass blocking in the Big 12. So he's been pretty good this year. Christian Jones, he's been good this year as well. So, yeah, I'm just worried about the run blocking and to see what's going to be the difference between the interior offensive line here for Texas and the defensive line, just for, the Sooners, right? So I was surprised at how they did against Bama. I think that was their best game of actually run blocking. So, maybe this team gets up for big games and, we shall see. But hopefully if this interior line can do what we need them to do, then this game should, actually hopefully just go our way.
And Nino, if Quinn Ewers starts, because Carvon just asked who's the starting quarterback for Texas. If it's Quinn Ewers, we really need to be able to run the football, I think, early in the game. He's coming back cold. I'm just being realistic. He's coming back cold. He hasn't played football since the first quarter against Bama. Next week will be a month. He'll be a month removed from that. So to me, even starting the ULM game where he was 2 years cold, we had a heavy dose of Bijan early in the game to get started. We were able to work him in to where once he was comfortable, then he starts putting the ball wherever he wants and looks all world again. I think we can get Quinn to that point pretty quick in this game, but we have to be able to. We can't have some of the run challenges and having guys trying to break tackles 2-3 yards behind the line of scrimmage and get behind. That's a concern that I definitely have.
Trust me. Go ahead, Chris. Because
I was just gonna say, man, I'll jump in there and say, for OU, in my opinion, I mean, hell, can you get through the Sark script, right? Can you get through those first 10 to 15 plays and then and then say, okay, now we're off the script. Now you're not on schedule. Let's see what you got for me the rest of the game. Because that's it. That seemed to be kind of the recipe for a lot of teams last year. Get me those first 10 to 15 plays. They want to blow the top off. They want to get up early, all the rest of that. Then see what they have down the stretch. One of the biggest things I would say is also Tennessee's kind of, you guys love to run Bijan to the short side of the field. I mean, are you going to be able to see those things defensively on the field? Are you going to be able to see those formations, those plays right then and there? Because I mean, okay, hey, 3rd and 2, whenever you guys run hurry up, kind of like on those short yardage situations on 3rd down, and it's usually, I mean, tendency wise, it's usually a short run with Bijan. And not saying that's bad or anything. I'm just saying, can you actually stop that? And then also the one thing I would say, going back to the gap integrity and just not pass rush, but just defensive line. Can we stop the whole Rocat situation? Because that's going to be something that you're going to see early and often throughout that game.
No.
You're going to see.
Hey, Chris, we didn't use it even in the last game. We only used it 3 plays, I think, in the previous game and none last game. I don't think the Rocat's going to be a package this game.
Well, the reason why I say that is simply because I mean, they have. Let's be real. Sark has his hands on that K-State tape, with Martinez and all the rest of them. So I'm not saying that he was running Wildcat, but he was running quarterback power. So why couldn't you do that with your 2 best running backs on your team? So that's something to look out for. I mean, I'm not saying that it's something that you're going to see all game, but it could be. It's a possibility.
I actually agree with that, Chris. I think Sark could go to Roshan and say, Kansas State pulled a couple guards, ran QB power. Like, we're going to install this with Roche. We'll try it. I don't disagree with that. I think when people put out the tape you guys put out the last 2 weeks, I think you're missing an opportunity if you don't try to exploit what other people have been exploiting. For the same reason, like if you look at the Texas defense, we've been notorious for giving up candy. Really, last week we played it much better than we've had in a long time, but we've been notorious for giving up stuff underneath. If you look at the tape, I think regardless of what you do, you should at least try to do what other teams have had success with doing, before you make your adjustments. But I agree. I mean, we could see it. But where Nino's getting is that we were not effective with that against Tech at all. Tech was so well prepared for that. And
the previous game as well.
Mm-hmm. And the staff just beat their head against the wall with it. But if you're using Rocat as a supplemental tool and not your main offense or your main short yardage package for what you do, but something where you're like, oh, I like this look. We have a light box. There's a light, like both Oklahoma and TCU were both playing the whole light box thing, which was very interesting to watch. But yeah, I would do it. I would try it. Why not? Any other comments that we want to make in terms of the Texas offense versus the OU defense before we flip it? Oh, go ahead, Seth.
And I've never not felt this way, but as our fellow friend of Texas football, socials and such, Kieran would say, Bijan is that dude. And I think I've been watching Texas football in 2022, outside of that West Virginia game that I'll catch up, this week, just to do my homework. But every game I've watched him in this season too, going back last season, but really this season, that he terrifies me. Bijan is, he doesn't need mustard to be effective. And he's, you talk about, your kind of concerns with, the run blocking and such, but I'm here to tell you, if those are your concerns, they will be remedied on Saturday. It just seems like that's what happens. Not to say that it's gonna, prove to be, what decides the game and everything, but I just think he's gonna be able to do whatever he wants. All the highlights he had last year, he's gonna have probably those and then some. I don't know. I think it would be crazy for him to not, if he's, healthy from start to finish, I think it would be crazy for him to not get 25 touches in that game, like just straight up, whether Quinn plays or not. I just think if he, that kind of player, it just, whether OU's defense was great or not, I just feel like you got to give that dude is a transcendent talent. I hate that he plays for Texas because I really like him and I want to root for him. But he's right now he's the enemy. I want him to do well in life and in his pocket, but on the field, I want him to catch L's. But he just doesn't.
Root for him next year in the league, man.
Yeah, he just doesn't. Next year. The dude's a winner. So I'm just I'm terrified. I hope he has a bad breakfast that morning. He eats a bad corn dog and it upsets his stomach.
I'm glad you shouted out the brothers mustard deal because we don't like to hate on brothers getting money. Ain't that right, Chris? We want everybody out here to flourish.
Everybody to get that bread.
Everybody get that bread. That's right, brother.
Yay.
That's right.
Look, y'all feeling good about yourselves going into this game, but hey, y'all lace them up just like we are.
No, we're just breaking down. But hey, Seth, I want to make a comment about what you said about Bijan, and it's kind of like I'm just going to keep bringing this point up. Transcendent players overcome a weakness in the area that is supposed to protect them. And our offensive line has not been a good blocking offensive line per metrics this year from run blocking. And to see what Bijan has done outside of that, not having a good quote unquote blocking offensive line just shows you how good he is. So transcendent players are great erasers of any deficiencies that you have on your offense or your defense. A lot like Caleb Williams was last year for Oklahoma.
Well said. Hey, by the way, speaking of new sponsor alert, Stan Hats, guys, go to stanhats.com/fanatic, code fanatic10. So really happy to have Last Stand Hats on board as a second sponsor of the channel. Big day for us. So happy to have that. There it is. I'll also have it in the link below. And then, some of our betting friends here and the official sponsor, official sportsbook, official betting partner, Fanatic Perspective, BOSR.com/fanatic. I'm excited about some of the stuff we have on board with them planned coming up. Hit that Sports 100 FP code, matching all initial deposits up to $1,000. First 24 hours, giving you some casino chips. The line right now is Texas -7, but there's a whole bunch of very interesting bets across college football that I checked out. So, really, really cool stuff. Now,
hey, Steven.
No, go ahead, Nino.
One thing that we didn't talk about is JT Sanders. And that's something from the Texas offensive side of the ball that I think is going to be a difficult,
Chris
matchup
said
for the
slander about JT yesterday. It
needs
to be addressed.
Oh, I didn't hear you. Chris, I didn't hear what you said. Can you please, just state that, please?
In short, in brief, nobody gives a crap about JT. What is it, Daniel Sanders? What his name is?
Oh, you're going to see.
Non-issue.
Okay.
Non-issue.
Non-issue.
Small sample size of what he's done this year. Haven't seen anything. Be honest with you, that's just like, oh my God, it's impressive. It's okay.
Okay,
it's great. If that's what you guys say, that's fine. Haven't seen anything that's just, oh my God, I'm so scared of it. Not really worried about it at all. I mean, he's a good
third highest graded tight end in college football this past week.
He's a good blocker. He's
not an issue, but right.
Good blocker.
Leave it at that.
Third highest graded tight end in college football.
Yeah.
He's a good blocker.
Oh man. Hey, nothing.
Non-issue. You got that, Kyle? Kyle taking notes because Kyle been asking me to address this all day.
It's all good. Hey, Steven, this is from the same guy who said that Spencer Rattler is Patrick Mahomes. But we'll go to the next. Wait, go ahead, Steven. What do you?
Yeah. Also, last year, hold on. Can we pull the receipt?
I'm not worried about JT Sanders.
I'm just saying it's the same guy.
Who else he wasn't worried about, Nino?
Who?
He said the same thing about Xavier Worthy last year.
Oh, he did. He
did. He said the only person he was really worried about was Jordan Whittington.
I'm not worried about
whoever it was.
Sanders in this game.
Or Bijan.
Man.
Yeah,
he said last year we gotta pull that receipt, y'all.
I just got there. Chris, I gotta understand where you're coming from, because first it was Spencer Sanders is the next Patrick Mahomes. Now we see what that happened, and then you said that all you had to do was keep Caleb because you didn't want a guy like Dylan Gabriel. And then you got Dylan Gabriel. Now you're saying Dylan Gabriel is the best thing since sliced bread. We got to see, what is your point? I mean, we got to get a common ground.
Hey, Nino, Nick, thank you for twisting my words like always. I never said that Spencer Rattler was Patrick Mahomes.
He said he's like Patrick Mahomes.
He's a guy who's a risk taker like Patrick Mahomes. He has great arm talent. The guy has great arm talent. If Spencer Rattler was
like Patrick Mahomes,
like Wisconsin, we'd be having a very different conversation. He needs an offensive line. That's all I said. But to the point directly, I will say this again: you can keep your receipts all that you want. Nobody, and I mean nobody, absolutely nobody, is worried about JT Sanders on Saturday.
Same number of touchdowns as Marvin Mims. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
We're going to move on, guys. We're going to move on to the Texas defense versus the OU offense. And just because I'm petty, I can't wait to see the matchup of JT Sanders versus 25 on your team. and how that looks on film. So I can't wait to see what 25 on Oklahoma does against JT Sanders. But like you said, it's a non-issue. So y'all go look up 25, number 25 on OU. He's a non-issue as well. Anyway. So, Seth, do you want to go into your breakdown of your offense? Oh, let's start here. Timeout.
Yeah.
Should Dylan Gabriel play in this football game?
No. OU needs him to be able to run that offense, but if you're asking me if should I personally, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I mean, and I think I'm saying that with the Tua stuff in my head and all of that, and just seeing what Dylan looked like after that dirty hit. Yeah, I don't think 7 days is. I mean, and I think that just goes for a lot of, across football at all levels. Guys shouldn't come back 7 days after something like that. Like, yeah, he got up, he walked off on his own power, he walked to the locker room and everything. But no, like, I think if we're really putting a premium on player safety and head trauma safety, I don't think you can bring him back.
Chris?
No, I mean, in light of everything that's happened this past week, I'm not sure if you need to bring him back, especially given the situation. I know that there were rumblings about he wanted to go back into the game last week, but after that play or whatnot, I mean, you can't put him back out there to hurt himself. You, like Seth said, you need him, you want him to be there, but at the same time, I don't know. He's got to go through the protocols, and he's got to show that he's alert, he's attentive, he's all of that stuff. I mean, I don't know. It's a scary situation. I mean, hell, even in that TCU game with what happened to Davion Horman. I mean, it's been a pretty crazy week in the world of football, not just college football, but the world of football with some of these injuries that associate more with the high school game. But man, it's been tough. I don't necessarily know if you can put him out there and not manage to piss off a lot of people, because one hit. We could talk about Ewers with his shoulder and everything, but hell, the same thing with Dylan Gabriel. One hit, and that could mess him up for the rest of the season, even longer than that. So
it's life.
Be cautious of player safety. I think that's at an all-time high, regardless of what happens in this game. I think that player safety is first and foremost the most important thing.
I really respect both of y'all's takes here, man. In all seriousness, I can tell y'all care more about the player than you do about the game itself and wanting the best for him. And I think that's been a big topic of conversation. Seth, you said it with Tua, and especially Dylan Gabriel's relationship with Tua. I mean, and where they both come from, and just everything that's happened. I did a show with Barry and DMAC yesterday. Podcast. I think that's coming today, and we talked about that as well. And Barry was very big on the care in the medical staff, his belief in the medical staff at OU, and you guys normally err on the side of caution when it comes to these situations, and maybe we'll pull a player a little bit longer than maybe other schools will. So he said he feels good that the team's in good hands, but regardless of who you root for or anything like that, like the other young man that went down was Harmon that went down as well with it's tough. As I told Barry and D-Mac in our game, CJ Donaldson on West Virginia went down. Very scary, and it honestly impacted our players, both on West Virginia side and on the Texas side. Being there, it was kind of like a holy shit situation. And I know you guys were definitely impacted especially both times. So, we'll see what happens. Nino, how about you?
Yeah, man. If he plays in this game, I'm going to feel the exact same way I felt after Tom Herman let Sam Ellinger play after he took that hit against OU. You remember, I thought Sam was out cold.
2017 game.
Yeah, I thought Sam was out cold, and there was no way in hell that he was going to get back and play in that game. But Tom Herman trotted him right back out there. Like 2 plays later. So I lost all respect for Tom Herman after that game, and he was fresh and brand new to the program. So I'll hold that same energy to BV if that does happen here with DG. I'm just all about the player, man, and it's all about player safety because at the end of this day, man, these kids are trying to get to the next level, and you have something happen to you. Let's say what happened to Tua happens to him in college, right? And teams are going to use that against him. They're not going to want to draft him high. They're not going to want to bring him in for a camp because he's injury prone now. He's had too many concussions, and that's up to the coaching staff to not let him go out there and play.
Yeah, I mean, it's bigger than football. Yeah. I mean, at this point, and I think that the BV and everything that he's preached throughout the offseason and the 10 months that he's been here at OU, I think he's gonna show you everybody, hey, I care more about this kid going forward than I do about this football game. There will be more football games to be played. Got to get healthy. I mean, and, we have some other injuries, but those two right there were the highlights of those injuries. I mean, that's the poor way to put it, but hopefully Horman, he had mobility in his extremities or whatever, so that was a great sign that he's alert and he has he can walk still, he can do everything. But with Gabriel, man, like one hit away, I mean, that could be it. I mean, he could pass his protocols this weekend, but I mean this week at the same time, because those doctors are going to be extremely thorough with that. But I think that they're going to ease him back into it instead of just throwing him to the wolves.
Yeah, I agree.
What's the game plan for you guys? I mean, let's say it's Davis Bevel. I mean, it's up in the air. I mean, offensively, we can talk about. I think we should. I mean, Texas is going to have to prepare for as if Dylan Gabriel's playing in this game, and I know it sounds crazy to say that, but Texas has to be prepared. And Texas has to be prepared for, I think, Jeff Lebby to throw out the kitchen sink because I don't think you guys can. I don't know if you guys can play straight up with Davis Bevel and those guys. So I'm really interested to see how it plays out. Like, what's the plan offensively for y'all?
Yeah, they're definitely not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to play straight up with Bevel if he's indeed the quarterback. They're going to have to. Lebby's going to have to unveil some wrinkles that either he hasn't shown or he's just going to have to lean heavily. Like we saw the playbook open up quite a bit against Nebraska. There was some stuff, some things going on in that game that really opened up the offense. But otherwise, they really haven't had to open up the offense that much. And then, last week, if they ever even wanted to, by the time they needed to, it was already too late. They were down too much, and then Gabriel goes out in the second quarter. So there's going to have to be something. And honestly, I don't even want to see Bevel out there. Not like I don't like the dude, but I think OU's best chance to win, if it's not going to be Dylan Gabriel, it's going to be a dude that hasn't played the season yet and really in college yet. I think it's Nick Evers. I honestly do. And I mean, that sounds crazy. He's a true freshman who literally hasn't even taken a snap. I don't even know if he's listed on the depth chart. He might be an or with general, but I think with his skill set being dual threat, and just everything that he can do, and I know that he's capable of, I think he might give the team the best shot. Not saying that it's a great shot if that happens, but I think I've seen enough from Bevel to know that even with a week of practice, knowing he's the guy, if that's indeed what is happening right now, we just behind the scenes, the public doesn't know it yet, but maybe he does, that he knows he's going to be the guy. I don't know if a week is going to be enough to get Bevel in a place where he can take the off, like actually lead the offense, because there's been so many issues around the quarterback position with him too as well. So it's not just like he's holding back the offense. There's been a lot of issues up front. Penalties have been a huge issue, just taking the team off schedule and forcing the quarterback to make more plays. Running back, like Eric Gray's been pretty good, but yeah.
Seth, why did Davis Bevel win the number 2 job? If there's already this much concern,
I don't think he necessarily. I think he got it by default. Honestly, he's had the most out of all the guys on the roster. He had the most experience, if you want to call it that, in D1 college, other than Dylan Gabriel, because Booty is coming out of JUCO. Micah Bowen, he's transferred from Penn State, but he hasn't really done much at all at either places. Obviously, Nick Evers is a true freshman, so he hasn't done anything. I think.
Why not?
Let me jump in here. Let me jump in here, Seth. I'm sorry. No, Bevel hands down won that job. I mean, he was the one who kind of he's supplying. I'm gonna have to go ahead and throw the name out there. General Booty. General Booty coming into camp. General Booty was the one who was pretty much eyed to be your number 2, and then Davis Bevel was just that much more consistent than he was. Evers is not an or. Evers was just he's straight up 4th string. I mean, he's the thought is that hey, the kid is really talented. He has come along. He's shown flashes, but the problem is that he's just young and he's a tad bit too inconsistent in camps. You heard it today from Levy. Levy said, and BV. BV said, hey, we're gonna have all 3 quarterbacks. There's gonna be 3 quarterbacks taking reps, right? Then you had Levy come out and basically say, hey, look, Dave Bevel will look different with a full week of snaps, with a full week of reps, right? So, I mean, in my opinion, I think that, yeah, there is some concern on the offense, but, I mean, I'll just throw my points out there, Stephen, if I may. But, hey, I'll say, hey, you got to sustain drives. This may be the first game that you see with Levy this year where it's time of possession with the ball is a little bit more important than trying to score, Not saying that our offense we still have the weapons out there. It's just, can we get the ball to them, right? So the whole thing is, but this is going to be something you got to sustain. You need more than just 1 first down. You may have to have 2 or 3 and just try to, mess a little bit with that tempo. If you're able to come out there and still be explosive, that's going to be great. Second thing I would say, run game has to be, they don't have to be great, but they have to be good. They have to be somewhere close, right? They have to be really good this game. So you need your running backs. Hopefully Marcus Majors is back. Seth, I don't know if you've heard anything about him, but hopefully he's back this game. But at the same time with with Eric Gray, and then also with Javonte Barnes, I feel confident with those 2. And then, like I said, our weapons on the perimeter, I still feel really good with our wide receiver core. We just got to be able to get the ball to them. And the offensive line is going to have to play their ass off. We've seen them play a consistent game at Nebraska. We've seen them play decent. I mean, honestly, these past, I would say, especially even in the TCU game, the offensive line hasn't looked all the way bad. They haven't looked all the way great either, but I still feel confident about it. But I think that you're going to have to play really complimentary football during this game if Dylan Gabriel isn't ready to go.
And Chris, I agree with you, man. Yeah. So I just saw somebody put a comment up here that that said, hey, Caleb was a freshman last year too. All right, guys, there's levels to this, right? Caleb was a top 3 or 4 player in the country. Nick Evers is the top 200 player in the country. There's levels to this, right? Caleb was a no kidding 5-star guy. Like I've been saying for the past year, a transcendent player. Nick Evers is not a transcendent player, but I do get what Seth is saying here about him being a dual threat, and that's one quarterback that has given Texas a problem this year. Somebody who can run the ball as well. So when JT Daniels was back there last week, just being stiff and not running, Texas was able to attack him like crazy, right? So Texas had 3 sacks and I think 6 or 7 tackles for losses that game because he was just so, just basically stationary. So when there is somebody who can, effectively run the ball like a DG, that's going to carve up the Texas defense just a little bit more. But yeah, I got you though.
So I think I'm still thinking kitchen sink if I'm Texas.
Yeah.
I think what you want to do if you're OU, if I'm Jeff Lebby and I'm looking at this Texas defense, one of the things that we've had success with this year, and we've just been so much better, it's been night and day, is been our run defense. We've been, especially on the interior, the outside of the Jace McClellan big run where we had just a goof up with our run fits. We've been solid run defense wise all year. Now, I really like Javonte Barnes for you guys. I said that in the spring game. He just looks different. There's a different juice to me when he runs the football, even over Eric Gray. We've seen Eric Gray. We know what Eric Gray is. He's solid. But Barnes is a guy, even watching him in the spring game, I was like, ooh, that kid fits. Like he looks like a kid that would play tailback at Ole Miss right now with the way Ole Miss runs the football like crazy. So I really, really like Barnes. And, you guys still have Marvin Mims. We've talked a lot of trash about Xavier Worthy versus Marvin Mims and that whole thing. But Marvin Mims is a bad boy. There's no disrespect here coming from me, especially what he did last year against us. And you still have the chubby guy in Braden Willis. So between there's people there that can hurt us. Even Farouk. I like Farouk. I think those are guys that if you figure out how to get them going and get them consistent, they can contribute. I think one of the things that is going to be a challenge for OU though is mixing that tempo, because teams have had success with us with tempo based upon our personnel packages. And Nino, I don't know if we've gotten a straight answer on how we sub and why people are in the game at certain times. The shit doesn't make sense to me.
At all.
Still bothering me a little bit. Why I have backups on 3rd and goal on my secondary because so-and-so needs a water break. I don't understand. So you can catch us. Tech did a really good job of whenever we would rotate out a few people, they would turn their tempo up to 1,000. So when we had our guys in there, they would scale. So I think that these are things that become the game within a game if you're a head coach, if you're really locked into the other person's tendencies, that I have a concern about with the Texas defense. But what I don't have a concern about is if Dylan Gabriel's not present to be able to be the pull guy that can take the ball out or create with his legs. I didn't like what I saw from Bevel with his movement, because JT Daniels had been playing decent football going in last week with West Virginia. But I think we're starting to get to a point, where we feel really good against quarterbacks that are not very mobile.
Exactly.
And we've been seeing nothing but mobile guys. And so when we got against JT Daniels, we were really able to light him up. And so I'm really curious what that chess match is going to be with Pete Kwiatkowski versus Jeff Lebby and matching of wits, especially if Jeff Lebby has to go with Davis Bevel or General Booty. I personally think OU is going to come out with multiple packages for all these guys and try to throw out and try to keep us going crazy. I would be surprised if y'all just really try to play with Davis Bevel straight up running your offense. I would be that would surprise me if I'm Texas.
I think you're going to see Lebby come out there I think you're going to see Lebby come out there and quick passing game. I think you're going to see him get him in rhythm with some screens, some difference like that. Hopefully, we don't see a lot of the East-West stuff that he's been running lately. But you got to get him in rhythms. You're going to see some hitch routes, some curls, different things like that. You're going to see him get acclimated and get. You're going to see him go pass the ball. I think that he can pass the ball. I think he can make the plays. Can he be consistent with that throughout the game? Can he give OU a chance? Can he get them to the fourth quarter? But hey, at the end of the day, it's a rivalry game. You never know what's going to happen. But I think that you'll definitely see Levy come out there. I agree with you on that. I think Levy's gonna come out there and he's gonna be very multiple. What he's doing is you're gonna see a lot of different things from that
Chris,
offense, and I think that they're gonna do everything in their power to make Bevel feel comfortable. Hell, whoever's out there, they're gonna make him feel comfortable and give him the confidence to go. But like I said, the key to it all is the run game. If your run game is playing really well, you're gonna keep that Texas defense honest. And they're not going to just be able to load the box and just, kind of sit there and force the quarterback to make plays. So you got to keep that defense honest and keep them aware of everything, right?
Yeah, and Chris, if we don't see that, I agree with you. That's more than likely what we're going to see as far as Levy with the QB position and trying to get him in rhythm, showing multiple things and really diversifying it up. But if we don't see that, Levy not the guy. He's not the guy. And I know it's not, if he's got Davis Bevel out there, any offensive coordinator with that, Davis Bevel quarterback-led offense is going to have to, they're probably not going to have their best performance on offense. But this is big boy college football, and you got to be able to scheme something up, like have some kind of a game plan that gives your guys at least a fighting chance, especially in a game like this. And it's not like Texas defense. Yeah, it's improved, but it's not like Texas defense is just impenetrable. It can be had even with a Davis Bevel quarterback if his coach gives him what. So for me, it's like offensively, I'm putting more of this on Levy as far as whether or not things work out or not. But defensively, to me, it's players. It's an effort thing, like I talked about. Like they got to show up, they got to want it. They got to fight for it every play. They gotta be hungry for it. So, if we see this OU trying to play straight up offensively with Davis Bevel, that's on Levy, and he's not the guy.
That's a bold statement.
Whoa,
that's a very bold statement, Seth.
You can't get the man walking paper after 6 games, are you?
I just wanted to jump in real quick. So here's the thing that would help Bevel out is going back to that last comment that you had on the screen, Steven. Bevel has to be more decisive with the ball. Same thing even with Dylan Gabriel. There's a lot of times they're staring guys that are running wide open down the field. They're just staring them down, but they for some odd reason they're not throwing the ball. He seems to be having he's having a huge problem with it. Bevel. And the time that I've seen him, even in some of the mop-up duty, it seemed like he's just too indecisive. Got to let it rip and trust your guys. Yeah. And then the second comment, I would say, Tracy, stay out of Oklahoma. I've told you that plenty of times. Please do.
Oh, man. Hey, we got Kuz's Corner in here. I did a video with last week representing West Virginia. GG's, man. And I saw y'all's post-game reaction, and I know there's a lot of questions about Neil Brown going on there, and you guys were having the buyout conversation, which I was like, damn. But really? That's like you said, like Seth said, this is big boy college football. All these programs have expectations. I was critical when we lost because I thought despite our injury challenges and what happened during the game with Xavier Worthy, we kind of used this as an excuse not to be aggressive. Yeah. We used it as a crutch. And I thought our staff woke up against West Virginia and said, regardless of personnel, because it wasn't just Worthy that was eaten in the West Virginia game. Jordan Whittington had a good day. We remembered that Jatavian Sanders was on our team.
5 catches, 5 targets, 71 yards, and 2 touchdowns. 35 yards a yak.
Non-issue.
Thank you for your super chat.
Quinn got another chat.
I saw your earlier super chat. I couldn't post it, brother.
I saw that one too. He won his money back. He won his money back, Steven.
But I love you. Can't post that type of stuff on here. But Quentin, thank you.
Steven, give Quinn his $1.99 back, man.
Nino, what do you want to add to that, man?
Oh man, those were some strong words by Seth, man. I ain't seen Seth that strong on a topic in a while. He said Levy ain't the guy if he can't, do.
I'm not saying fire him mid-season. Yeah, I'm not saying fire him mid-season, but to me, like, even if it doesn't work out and, OU's offense just, doesn't do anything, it's ineffective, and they just, from start to finish. But if they're going to be ineffective, they need to at least still be doing something different, something kind of changing it up, showing variety, like Chris was talking about. They can't be ineffective because they were just trying to, because they were just, going with the offense and just trying to tailor the personnel to the scheme rather than the other way around. So, like, I'm not gonna hate on them if OU's offense is ineffective and they were trying, but I got to see them try. I got to see them game plan. I got to see something different.
Yeah, I get you.
I understand what you're saying. If I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go out emptying the clip,
swinging.
Bro. We ain't gonna go out just being conservative.
We ain't going out with the pea shooter, huh?
We going out like set it off, brother. Like Cleo, bro.
It's a game to be played, man, and it's gonna be a mind game because the whole thing is that you guys are gonna have a great game plan. I'm sure that we'll have a great game plan. My whole thing is this right here is that, look, like I've said, I'll go back to and say it again, and I'll keep saying it. As much bad as we've seen in these past 2 weeks, we have seen some really, really good things whenever OU is gap sound. They're showing a lot of gap integrity, and they're doing what they need to do. Can they put it together against Texas? That's the first question. The second question is can they be consistent throughout this game, which we have not seen in the past 2 weeks. I mean, bottom line, you guys present I wouldn't say a lot, but you guys present your fair share of disadvantages or whatnot to us as far as being able to have a vertical passing game that's honestly more fluent than ours is right now. Obviously, you guys are coming out there with a plethora of backs that you're going to use in that game. So, I mean, Bijan, like I said, hey, I've always said it. You guys know I've said it. Bijan is that guy. I mean, he's the best running back in college football. I'll give him that for sure. But at the same time, I still think, like, hey, anything can happen, and we've seen it. Hell, we saw it last year. Granted, you want to say transcendent quarterback on the field, but still to come back
transcendent quarterback
from like
he erased all mistakes.
Yeah, we've seen games where OU was favored to win by 40 points and only won 12-0. We've seen games where OU was coming in there at least just a 7 or 8 point dog, and then we saw Vince Young go out there and beat the brakes off. We've seen it. We've seen both teams have strong showing. So what is this Saturday going to show us? And so I know everybody in the comments is thinking, oh, OU is going to lay down, OU is going to get beat by 40 and stuff. But if you're thinking about that, if that's the way you're thinking, that's rat poison. The fact that you would believe that in a game like this, that's crazy.
No, hold on. Don't be using the stuff that, our coach's mentor, my coach is using. That ain't for BV. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. That's from the Saban tree. BV ain't from the Saban tree.
Hey, Jalen Hurts used to say
stuff.
Jalen Hurts said,
what you talking about? Jalen Hurts is on quality guy. What you talking about?
Hey, man, Jalen Hurts, he don't throw no horns down when he be in the league. He always say roll tide. He didn't even look at that last year.
Yo, y'all are killing me in the chat with the Coach 30 comments, bro. That's the goal right now, because last year's game, we both got cooked by Coach 30 in our game, both teams. So I am
Steven, you need to get him. Steven, you need to get him on Fanatic Perspective.
Mary. Hey, Mary.
I think I can.
I'm going to work up the montage on Sunday.
I think I can get Coach 30 on here in all seriousness. My best friend and him go to the same barber, like same day, back in he's actually in the Maryland area, back around my way. Yeah. So the one thing, there was a great question here from Tracy. Tracy's in here. I got Fancy Boots in here from Fire the Cannon podcast.
We got Fancy. What's up, Fancy?
Yeah, we got so many great people in here that we'll get to see at the Texas OU game at the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. Folks, and I know we've had this conversation on the channel, the four of us, but 3 of us will be there. So if you see myself, Nino, Chris, please come say what's up, chat it up with us. We really appreciate it. But this environment, this atmosphere, it's one of the best sporting events you can ever attend. It's an amazing environment. I know this year it feels different with the staff changes and everything going on. But just the opportunity to go there. Also for the kids on both sides. This is what's so unique about this game. So many of these kids are from Dallas-Fort Worth on both teams. So many of their families live in the area, whether it's Fort Worth side, whether it's Dallas side, South, whatever. It's like homecoming for both teams in a weird way. It's like both teams having homecoming in Dallas. And, you know, with Quinn Ewers potentially coming back, being from South Lake, which is more towards Fort Worth, but still, like, it's really, really cool where so many of them made their strides as high school football players to have the opportunity to come back and you know, we split at the 50 and go to battle. It's an amazing energy. I was exhausted after last year's game. I know, Chris, you guys won, but you were physically spent. We were all physically spent. The energy is insane.
It took me everything I had to make that video that I made after, because I was like, man, my voice is shot. I was like, but I got to do it. I got to do it.
That video turned a lot of stuff.
So Tracy asked a really good question that I think we should all answer. Who are the X factors for both sides in this game? I mean, you know, one player, offense, defense, that we're looking at that can be, you know, a difference maker here. Seth, I'll go to you first if you don't mind.
Yeah, no. So I won't try to state the obvious because I know we've gone on length about quarterback and stuff. So, but offensively, Braden Willis, I feel like he's a guy, you know, tight end. He's, and I would say in every game this season, he's, you know, been open, or the plays have been there for him. And it's just been a matter of if the quarterback can get him the ball or not. But that dude, he's playing at another level. His blocking has been on point, but like as a receiver, he knows how to get himself open. He knows he's got great body movement. So if he's able to get those touches and get the ball consistently for 4 quarters, have, you know, I'm saying upwards of like 7, 8, at least 8 catches, you know, something like that. I'm not sure it's going to happen, but if he can get that offensively, I think OU is cooking. Defensively, I got to go back to what I said up front, and I'll go with Reggie Grimes, just because he's the guy you know, in the beginning of the season, the first 3 weeks, he was looking like you know, first team all Big 12 guy, if not beyond. He was playing at a really, really high level. So I think he has to get back to that. He has to win whoever he's lined up against. He has to win that matchup more times than he doesn't. And otherwise, I think it's going to be a long day for OU's defense if he's not at, you know, having some success, and really all those guys up front. But I'll pick one, and I'll pick him.
Hey, Quentin, thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate it. And you're hilarious as normal. He said, I don't care about none of that. Hold this out respectfully. He sounds like Quentin infiltrated my DC guys group chat, because you talk just like these brothers back home. It's hilarious.
Cat with a black cat on his back. Get him off the screen. So all that I'll say is this right here, okay? My X factors for the game. I got 2 offensively. I think obviously it's Mims. Got to be Mims. Mims has to be able to stretch the field like he did last year. You want Mims to be able to have a big impact in his game. I'd also say probably. Hold
on, your best is your X factor.
Well, I mean,
that's like me saying Bijan's our X factor.
Did you see him last week? What did he do last week?
I don't know what anybody on your team did last week, bro.
Let me get to my guys. He's got to be Mills for me. Also, I'm going to say somebody like Drake Stoops as well. We got to have those third down conversions. We got to have guys like that. You already know Drake Stoops is way better than Jay Witt. Team. Anyway, please. On defense, I'm going to go with Danny Stutzman, Seth. I think we got to see Danny Stutzman, the Danny Stutzman that we saw earlier this year, simply because, look, the linebackers are going to be a big part of this game because if you want to stop Bijan, he gets to the second level. He's going to be able to break tackles. He's going to be able to get there. So we need to see Danny Stutzman with at least 8 or more tackles. I mean, stuff that we saw earlier in the season. Got to see Danny Stutzman get back to what he was doing and kind of be the leader, especially with that front 7 or front 5, the way they've been running out these past few weeks. But either way, I want to see Danny Stutzman get back to it. I think that if our linebacker play is really good this weekend, that definitely gives us a great chance.
I'm reading that comment. That's hilarious.
I don't even know what these dudes are. I'll be honest. I haven't been on. I obviously haven't been on Twitter that much. You know what I've been doing the last few days? I dusted off my old Game Boy Advance.
No,
I've been playing
guys,
that.
Let me tell you about Seth is only on Twitter when Texas plays. It's it. It's the only time he's on Twitter.
Not last week. Usually that's true.
It's the only time he's on Twitter is when Texas plays. And OU plays is crickets, especially the last.
Because I'm watching with my family and I'm trying to spend time with them, quality time.
You ain't for no quality time. Yelling at the TV. Oh man.
We also hit the over on the Drake.
Drake.
So Nino, go into your X factors, man.
X factors, man. For the defensive side of the ball, I got 2. First is going to be Jalen Ford. He's been a freaking maniac since the second game of the season. I think he didn't have any tackles the first game, but since the second game, guys, he's had 51 tackles so far. He's been a beast, man. It's like the light just finally switched on here for the second game, against Bama, and he's been lights out ever since. Also on the defensive side of the ball, I'm going to say the entire defensive line. And I say that because Texas has been able to stop the run against pretty much everybody that they played this year without having to bring a lot of pressure. And it's been that defensive line doing their thing. So having a guy like Ojimo back is going to help out a lot because he can line up at end and actually hold the edge, right? To just do good things for the, honestly, just for that whole line. So having that defensive line just be able to stop the actual running game here for the past 5 weeks has been great without having to bring extra pressure. So those are my 2 X factors for the defensive side of the ball. Offensive side of the ball is going to be something that Chris is going to hate, and that's JT Sanders. JT Sanders is going to be the X factor for this game. I'm telling you, there's nobody on OU who's going to cover him, and it's going to be great. So, hey, hold on. Seth said that his tight end has to get 7 or 8 receptions. I just did just a little, quick little search there. Only one person has had 7 receptions so far this season in one game for OU over the 5 games, and that was Mims, I think, against who's your second game, Seth?
Kent State.
Okay, so it's Mims against Kent State, I think. So that was the only person who had 7 or more catches in the game. He had 7. Nobody else on OU has had more than, I think, 4 catches in the game or 5 catches in the game. So to think that the guy's to think that the guy's going to get 7 or 8 catches with a second-string quarterback against all right, so
I'm not predicting it. I'm just saying it needs to happen.
So my second X factor for the offensive side of the ball is going to be Kelvin Banks Jr. He's been lights out when it comes to pass blocking. And if Quinn is going to play, it's going to be very necessary that he does protect his blind side, basically. So he's been very exceptional here for the first part of the season here for pass blocking. I think one of like the top 3, tackles here in the Big 12, if not the top. And he's basically on his way to a freshman, a actual freshman All-American season, and hopefully first team Big 12. So we'll see.
So my X factors for this game, I actually have Texas X factors as well as OU X factors here. So I'll go my Texas guys first. On defense, I'm going to go Deshaun Jameson / Jameer Johnson, who are field corners. I think Ryan Watts has been playing really, really good football on the boundary, and he was up to the task against Bryce Ford Wheaton a lot last week. There were some reps that Bryce won, but for the most part, Ryan Watts is my only criticism with Ryan is just, get some picks, really. Other than that, like he's been He's phenomenal and run. He's played the ball relatively well in the air. He's had some fluky stuff happen. For the most part, I think Ryan Watts has been everything we wanted or thought we were going to get when we got him out the portal. And that's really good. On the field side, when you're facing, whether it's Dylan Gabriel, whether it's Davis Bevel, whoever's playing quarterback, that matchup, especially with, as you guys move Mims around, quite frankly, but wherever Mims lines up and guys that are going those longer throws, we have to be able to take advantage of that and get turnovers if we want to try to really be explosive and blow this game open the way we have the potential to do. I don't know if we'll do that because we play up and down to our competition. But I really see Jameer as well as Deshaun needing to be up for the test in this game. Mm-hmm. And I think that Jeff Levy and them will try to not just test them vertically, but also throwing stuff around to get their eyes to bite. Deshaun sometimes can fall asleep a little bit. Now, when Deshaun's locked in, he's man on hip. He's actually pretty good. My issue with him has always just been falling asleep. And so Jameer has struggled a little bit playing the ball in the air and turning his head. Those are guys who, when you get them isolated, it can be a little bit of a challenge. Our safeties have played really good football this year. Jaron Thompson's balling. A. Cook is balling. I actually like what I saw from Keaton Crawford last week. But my ex defense is going to be the field side. Jameer Johnson, John Jameson. On offense for Texas, for me, it's Jordan Whittington. He got going last week. Mm-hmm. And the week before, he was going in the RPO game. And then we forgot he was on the team until the last drive. And I just think with the way Jordan Whittington has been playing football for us and already has that rapport with Quinn Ewers. So if it's Quinn Ewers in there, I think Jay Witt's just going to eat regardless. I mean, his football savviness, the way he can attack zone or man, he's so quarterback friendly. Also, I want this game for him, for Jay Witt, because this is the game where he went down last year with the collarbone injury, and it really negatively impacted our team. So I want to see him bounce back. For the OU side, on defense, Jalen Redmond has to have a big day if I'm looking at this from the OU side. Big fella inside, 3-1. I think he's really going to have to cause our center and our guards problems and really, really, really help open up things for the Stutzmans. And also, where the hell is Jared Kanik? What? I saw him looking so explosive in the Nebraska game, and then I don't see him anymore. Where's number 7? I like number 7.
He needs to live on the field.
Yeah, he's roaming the sideline right now. I mean, nothing major. It's just the fact that, hey.
He ain't no trouble, is he?
No, he's not in trouble or anything like that.
Yo, he was playing so loud in the Nebraska game. Y'all need to put that guy on the field, man. You won't have that for problem.
It's definitely some guys that need to be playing that. Well, I mean, but you saw it. He did get out there on the field, kind of towards when the game kind of got out of hand last week, but he was out there. Yeah.
You need to put him on the field. I'm just going off film study. And I texted y'all. I said, 7's good. 7's a good football player.
Hey, Steven, here go Fancy Boots. She said, Steven, it was Nebraska. They lost to Georgia Southern and Northwestern.
He was eating against Nebraska.
So let's get to the nitty gritty of this, okay? Because I think
hold on. I'm not done. I have 2 more X factors on OU.
Okay,
I have 2 more. All right, we've been beating around the bush in this chat, but it's time to stop this. Number 25 on Oklahoma is a liability, and he's the X factor.
We've been saying that for the longest. Nobody likes Brawls, bro. Nobody likes Brawls.
Chris been talking about that for the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know why Key Lawrence is not on the field more, but hey, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, it's.
Hey man, Key Lawrence was out there running with his fist closed. Maybe that was the problem.
Stop it.
That play, Key Lawrence looked like he ran a 5.2. But I don't the whole 25 thing on OU. I don't get it, man. Maybe it's a family member thing.
Steven, look at me.
That boy said ran with his fist closed.
We don't either. We don't get it either. But it is what it is. We don't.
He's not with us. Okay, I got you.
Hey.
He came into the club. He didn't come with us. You know what I'm saying? For real.
He's 25 is a double agent for OU. I like Barnes. Javonte Barnes. He scares me a little bit. I think he's gonna do some things. I'm just putting that out there. Barnes on OU. We need to be awake for him. But anyway, that's I'm done. Hey, I wasn't name dropping players. They're not my players. I don't give a shit.
There's one person on here, and I'll say it. Seth don't have to do it. I'll say it. I've been screaming that since we started our podcast. That can't be. That's not a winning formula, in my opinion. That's just me, though. So y'all want to at me or whatever. That's just not a winning formula right now.
Hey, but your defensive-minded head coach thinks it is.
It is what it is. Let's get to the nitty-gritty of this. What happens? Oh, I know what's going to happen. OU wins this game. Steven's going to be wearing that OU jersey again that he borrowed from his sister's, his wife's cousin, brother, whatever he was to him. And Nick, what about you? What are you going to be wearing?
Man, I don't do no bets. I'm a grown-ass man. No bet. I don't do no bets. I'm a grown man. Shit. I don't even go to the casino. Come on now.
Are there casinos out there in Connecticut?
Seeing as how we are a betting channel, I will say this.
I do have a betting sponsor now. I will. Well, this is Steven's channel. I won't do that. This is Steven's channel. I'm not going to plug mine. Oh man.
Gotcha.
Oh gosh.
Oh man, it is what it is. Hopefully they don't see
it. Hey. I'm not just talking about that one coverage bus. At least I don't know what you're referring. I'm not just talking about that one cover. I know what you're talking. I know what play you're talking about. That's not. This is over the last several years that we're talking about with him. But anyway.
Oh, Chris. I mean, not Steven. One more thing. One more X factor, man. I got one more.
Go ahead, Nino.
Will Stone kickoffs, and I've been texting like our whole Texas group here for the last few weeks. He never kicks a ball out of the end zone. That's going to come back to bite us in the ass in one of these games because every ball that he kicks on the kickoff is returnable. He never gets it to the end zone. It's usually like at the 1 yard line or at the 5 yard line. So if that's the case, one of these games, it could be this game. Somebody's going to break it long and get a return for a touchdown. I'm telling you, it's going to happen in one of these games. I just hope it's not this game, but we got to get a kicker who can kick the ball out of the end zone to not even allow somebody to return it. That's an X factor.
I don't know if y'all been paying attention to, but that's one of the areas that OU's actually been pretty good at this year so far as kick returns. They've had quite a few returns. They haven't taken any to the house this season, but
they've been long.
They've had quite a few returns get past the 30, 35 yard line. That were kicked to the end zone. Like a lot of times they're running out of the end zone 5 yards deep. You're like, what are you doing? A lot of
ours aren't even getting to the end zone, Seth. They're getting to like the 2 yard line.
I'm just that's a valid point you bring up. Like we'll see what happens. This is the game where sometimes weird stuff like that happens. Like I think back to 2008 and the Shipley return. So something like that. I mean, OU's going to probably need something like that.
Yeah.
So. Good point.
Special teams in this rivalry has been enormous. Y'all are right. That can't be overlooked. We've been really good in punt block, and y'all have effectiveness in the kick game. Wasn't Billy Bowman returning kicks too? Isn't that how he got hurt? Or Farouk's taking over?
Something happened on that play that was kind of weird. But Bowman has looked really good back there, and Farouk looked pretty good last.
Yeah, Farouk looked good too, though.
Yeah.
All right. Well, y'all ready for predictions?
I'm ready.
Go ahead, Seth.
Yeah, so I won't be long-winded. The way I see it, and I'm not going to throw a caveat like if Dylan Gabriel plays or not. Honestly, I don't expect him to. I'll be pleasantly surprised if he's cleared and he's actually totally cleared, but I'll still be worried if I do see him out there. But whether or not, I think OU's going to come out fired up. I don't think they're going to look like they did against TCU from the gun. Now, saying that, and I alluded to this earlier, I think Bijan he's gonna have a big day. I really do. I thought Worthy was gonna have a big day, and you can look that up last year before the game. I thought he was gonna have a big game. He did. I think Bijan's gonna have just like an historic game, and because of that, I think OU or Texas is gonna be out in front and probably playing out in front the whole game. So I got Texas winning it 31-17. Yeah.
Okay. I could hear the pain in your voice saying that, but I appreciate your objectivity, your professionalism, Seth. You manned up. You've been on here for 2 hours, brother. I know this. Like you said, I'm hurt. I'm hurt, dog. Right?
And also I'll say this too. I'll add this for everybody watching this and that tunes in later. If OU does lose, I will have something for y'all on Twitter. If OU loses, I'll have something for y'all on Twitter.
I don't like the sound of that.
So check it out.
I don't know if I like the sound of that one. That don't sound.
I know it sounds strange.
That sounds like anarchy. Should we report that to HR?
That sounds like some get back. I'm trying to.
Is everything okay?
I'm hurt.
I'm hurt, bro. Hey, bro, it's just football. I've been down bad for 12 years, brother. It's gonna be okay.
No, it's not it's probably not what you think. It's really not what you think.
Okay. Now you got a brother concerned.
Just tune in on, look me up.
Chris, go ahead.
I'm gonna go with OU 27-24. I'm gonna say OU pulls it out. They find a way. Defense shows up, does what they're supposed to do, plays a hell of a game, and I'm gonna say, hey, they give it to the special teams and we get it done. 27-24.
Nino.
I'm gonna think about this for a while. Everybody knows this is the rivalry game. Cancel out what happened in the previous games. It is what it is. I don't care what happened TCU. I don't care what happened Kansas State. I mean, we've seen Texas come in here with teams that won 5 games in the season or 6 games in the season and come and beat, Oklahoma, right? Honestly, we've seen how this thing fluctuates, right? It's the true case of a rivalry game. People who have been to the game understand that it's a loud stadium. It's like no other event. So I'm not going to go off the hinges and say Texas is going to kill them, but I think my score in this game is going to be a high scoring game. I say 41-35 Texas. Oklahoma keeps this thing real close. So I got 41-35 Texas.
All right. I like Nino, thinking long hard about it, and obviously just with the caveat of the quarterback thing in here, the pressure's on Texas in this game to perform. I know there's pressure. There's always pressure on both teams. The rivalry game, blah blah blah. You guys are putting pressure on Brett Venables to bounce back and to right the ship and fix some of these things and get some of that momentum back. Well, there's pressure on Steve Sarkisian and his staff to finish. This is a must-win football game. I mean, this is an opportunity for Texas to really go back to the root of a lot of the issues that started last year and right that, right? And get that positive momentum to keep on track for conference play. Whether it's Quinn Ewers in there or Hudson Card, they don't really have an excuse to me at this point, because if you're playing Quinn Ewers, you're saying he's ready to go and he's your starting quarterback. If you're playing Hudson Card, Well, we saw last week and really the last 2 weeks that you guys have really figured out how you want to play offense with Hudson Card and be very effective. With that being said, I think the over-under on this game is 65, if I'm not mistaken. I'm actually going opposite of Nino. I think this game is going to be lower, only because I do think Texas is going to have success running the football more than we've seen recently. And we'll be able to really try to maintain some possessions lengthy and dominate the clock a little bit, play a little clock game. I'm also trying to figure out where OU is going to manufacture consistent offense, and we have to be ready for the kitchen sink. So with that being said, I'm actually going to go Texas 28-20 in this game. I think OU will play good football, better than you've looked the last 2 weeks. I think Brett Venables from a pride perspective, Ted Roof from a pride perspective will have wrinkles even defensively. I think there's some things on the back end that will be simplified for you guys so you don't have the pre-snap problems that were shown. But overall, I have Texas winning 28-20 and coming out with the golden hat. Any other final thoughts, closing thoughts before we leave, fellas?
4 out of the last 5, OU. History's on our side. We feel good. I still feel good about this team. Won't cower away from anything that I've said before this podcast or after this podcast. This team is still good. This team is still good. This team still has a long way to go this season. A lot of improvement need to be made. Why can't it happen on Saturday? To write this team off and write anybody on this coaching staff off yet is premature, especially all the Texas fans. It's great that you're taking jabs and you're doing all the rest of this stuff. But remember, last year you guys were in the same position. All right. But it is what it is. We'll take our lumps too. But like I said, anything can happen in this rivalry game. And I feel like, hey, Levy's going to have a hell of a game plan this week. And if things come together, if things click offensively and defensively, it's going to be a great game. I really do feel that way. Hopefully we don't see the TCU outing that we saw last week. But at the same time, you never know in a game like this because, hell, we saw you guys start fast and start early last year and jump out to a hell of a lead, and then we saw what happened in the second half. So it's a game of two halves, and OU's gonna have to play consistent and complementary football. And again, gap integrity has got to be there, especially against these against Bijan and even Roshan Johnson as well. So that being said, like I said, it's Boomer all the way. I got OU.
I got one last thing. I want y'all to eat a Fletcher's corn dog for me. Just please, because I'm not going to be at the game. So, you're going to be there. So be right there. So just have one for me. Win or lose. Just, yeah.
All right.
We got you, brother. We got you. 3 of us. I think we can knock that out between the 3 of us here.
I'm gonna do some corn dogs, some fried Oreos. I'm about to do it all. You know what I'm saying?
Trying to get me that funnel cake. You know what I'm saying?
Bro, Nino, I just want to say this in response to Chris real quick.
I was going to get on him too, but go ahead.
Yeah. So you know, brother, you've brought up the 28-7, the lead, and look, we got to do our part, right? We got to, and so, brother Chris, look, Caleb Williams is not your savior, okay? Lincoln Riley is not your savior.
And that's fine. Neither is Sarge.
Kennedy Brooks is not your savior.
Y'all are 3-2. Y'all are 3-2. Keep it coming. Y'all are 3-2, just like us. Let's get it. Saturday,
Nick Benito is not your savior.
I'm just saying,
Isaiah Thomas is not your savior.
And we still got Drake Stoops.
Drake Stoops. All right, but hey. Oh man. All right, man. So on just a little more serious note, again, man, for everybody listening, I think we got over 400 people in here. So Tiffany Jackson passed away yesterday, Texas basketball legend, 3-time All-American at Texas, 5th pick of the draft for the Liberty. So hey, thoughts and prayers to her family, folks. She was coaching also at Texas up until she passed away as well. So yeah, thoughts and prayers to a Tiff Jackson, man, treetop, and just say a prayer for her.
Hey, Steve, I don't think
see me on mute.
muted.
Yeah, it's 9/11 and Texas still sucks.
My bad, guys. Sorry about that. I was trying to upload something for Tiffany here, so I apologize, and I wanted to get it up, but got caught up in the talking. But in all seriousness, thank you guys, everybody, for coming into the chat. I'll put up the thing for Tiffany after the video, but you know, any of the information that comes out, Nino, I'm sure you'll share it, and you know, everything that we're doing in the Texas fan base, because it is a big loss. And for everybody that showed up here tonight and came to hang with us, look, hit the like button, subscribe. We appreciate it. Thank you for helping us grow. I think we're right at like 12,000 subscribers now, so we may have crossed over. I'm not sure. But if you haven't subscribed or you're still on the fence, showing love is free. So, you know, help us out. You know, as I say, showing love is free. Somebody comes in here and says, Chris, you're washed. You know, it's just this is the community we're in, right? So, fellas, thank y'all for hanging out tonight. Chris, we'll see you. We'll see you at the game. Seth, be well, bro. Take care of your spirits as always. And our sponsors, number one, BSR.com/Fanatic, official sportsbook, official betting partner of Fanatic Perspective. BSR.com/Fanatic. Hit that promo code Sports100 FP. 100% free play match on all initial deposits within the first 24 hours, up to $1,000. So if you guys are looking for just somebody to rely on, you know, that's going to get you your money back and all those type of things, nobody better than BUSR out there. The other, and just announced as of today, shout out to our new sponsor, Last Stand Hats, laststandhats.com/Fanatic Perspective. So much gear. We love the Last Stand Hat family. Use that promo code Fanatic10. Get 10% off at checkout for all your gears. So shout out to Last Stand Hat. We'll be and he's doing yeoman's work over the Texas content, recruiting content. We've been talking a lot of recruiting behind the scenes and things that are really just on the cusp. And Nino's been brilliant at covering all of that, plus post-game reactions. And the boys here from the Horns Down podcast, Chris and Seth, we thank them for coming on. Guys, nothing left to do it but to do it, right? So see y'all on Saturday. Nino, Horns always out.
Boomer.
Appreciate y'all.